This episode of Inspire AI Podcast is sponsored by Exponent 21. I keep hearing the same thing from business leaders lately. We're doing the work, but leads are harder to explain. Traffic is down, attribution feels fuzzy, and the old answers don't really fit anymore. What's changed is how people search. Instead of clicking links, people are asking questions, and AI is answering them. Tools like ChatGPT, Google's AI-powered results, and Perplexity are shaping which brands get mentioned, referenced, and remembered. Exponent 21 specializes in AI SEO. They help businesses understand how to show up consistently inside those AI-generated answers across questions about their industry, their services, and their brand. What stands out to me is that when people ask AI tools, who's leading in this space? Exponent 21 and its leaders are often referenced near the top. That comes from doing the work and shaping how this new search environment actually functions. To understand what this shift means for your business, visit exponent21.com. Welcome back to Inspire AI, the podcast where we translate fast-moving AI ideas into clear thinking and practical action for leaders navigating real-world change. Today's episode is a deep dive into something that sounds deceptively simple, but has big implications for how work actually gets done in an AI-accelerated world. It is known as the Ralph Loop, and instead of just explaining it, we're going to experience it through real-world use cases, grounded stories, and a kind of mental models that help you decide, where does this actually fit in my work next week? So where does the Ralph Loop actually come from? If you've ever watched The Simpsons, yes, I'm talking about the cartoon that's been running for like 40 years or something crazy like that. You might remember Ralph Wiggum. Ralph is the lovable, slightly chaotic, often confused kid in Springfield. He says things like, "I'm in danger." He's not polished, he's not precise, and he definitely doesn't get things right the first time. So why on earth would a serious AI engineering technique be named after him? It's because Ralph doesn't succeed because he's smart. He succeeds because he keeps going. And that's exactly what the Ralph Loop captures. The original story traces back to a developer who got frustrated with constantly correcting AI outputs manually. Instead of trying to make the AI perfect, he let it be imperfect over and over again. By building a loop, that loop just kept running. Try, fail, try again, improve slightly, repeat. A little messy, it's inefficient per attempt, but over time, it works. So it's kind of like moving from asking AI to managing it. Let's start with a familiar moment. You open an AI tool, you write a prompt, you wait, you get something close back. Then what? You tweak the prompt, you try again, and maybe again. And the pattern, prompt, adjust, retry, rinse and repeat, is something most people experience manually. The Ralph Loop is what happens when you stop doing that yourself and design a system to do it continuously. The core idea is pretty simple. Don't expect intelligence in one shot. Design for intelligence through iteration. That's the shift. It's not, did the AI get it right? Let me go check. It's more like, did I build a loop where it eventually gets it right? So let's strip it down to its core, without all the jargon. At its core, the Ralph Loop is where an AI tries, the system checks, the AI will try again, and it will continue to repeat this loop until it's done. The Ralph Loop is a structured way to let AI improve itself through repeated attempts. The intelligence is not in the answer, it's in the loop. So I want to tell you a little story about an overnight engineer. A small engineering team is facing a problem. They need to migrate hundreds of test files from one framework to another. It's tedious, error-prone, easy to procrastinate. Traditionally, this is weeks of work. Instead, they do something different. They set up a Ralph loop. They define the task clearly. They define what done means when all tests pass, and they let the AI start converting files. After each pass, run tests. Feed the failures back into the system. Loop. Overnight. When the team comes back in the morning, it may not be perfect code, but 80 to 90% of the work is done. Not because the AI is brilliant, but because the system allowed it to keep trying without human friction and frustration. That's a pretty practical use case, I would say. It's definitely best for repetitive, testable, annoying, but necessary work. Some other terms that might fit this type of use case are refactoring, data cleanup, documentation generation, test fixing, migration work. I have another story to tell here. And instead of talking about an engineer, we'll talk about a leader, like a product leader, experimenting with AI for writing internal specs. At first, they treat it like most people do. Prompt, edit. Prompt, edit. Can you feel the frustration building? Output probably is inconsistent. Then they change their approach. Instead of writing better prompts, they design a loop. Inside that loop, you have draft spec. Ask AI to critique it. Feed critique back. Ask for improved version. Repeat 5 or 6 times. It's the same AI, the same capability, completely different outcome every time. What changed? They stopped treating AI like a tool and started treating it like a process. So here's some insight for you to take away. Ralph loops can help with thinking work, not just technical work. Some considerations along this use case line would be strategy drafts, anything writing related, analysis, planning, decision frameworks, anywhere refinement matters more than first pass accuracy. It's really a judgment call. You getting the idea here? See, the Ralph loop introduces persistence in AI systems. That's the unlock. If you get the gist of that, you'll understand humans stop when we get tired, we get distracted, we get frustrated. A loop doesn't. It keeps going. And that creates a new kind of leverage. Not necessarily a smarter AI, but more attempts per problem without the frustration. Okay, so obviously Ralph loops are powerful, but they're not magic. There are a few failure modes that you should be considering. Infinite loops. You must define when something is done, because if it never stops, it never finishes. Garbage amplification. If your initial task is flawed, the loop just reinforces bad direction. Cost explosion. More loops equal more compute equal more cost. That's the math. Silent drift. Without checkpoints, the AI slowly moves away from your intent. This leads to a critical leadership takeaway. Ralph loops don't remove responsibility. They shift it from doing the work to designing the system that does the work. A simple mental model you can use. If you remember nothing else from this episode, remember this. The Ralph lens is before you ask AI, ask yourself, is this task iterative by nature? Can I define success clearly? Can I let this run without me for a while? If yes, consider a loop. If no, use one-shot prompting. Let's zoom out. I say it all the time. It's not about clever engineering tricks. It's about shifting to how work gets structured. From our Inspire AI philosophy, it's not about mastering tools, it's about mastering judgment. The Ralph loop is a perfect example. It takes us from, can I do this, to, can I design a system that gets this done over time? And that's a much different skill, a more strategic one, and increasingly the one that matters most. The Ralph loop is early, it's messy, and it's still evolving. But so is our work with AI as it moves from execution to orchestration, from doing to designing. how things get done. And the people who learn that shift early, they won't just use AI better. And you heard it here. They'll lead differently because of it. Until next time, stay curious, keep innovating, start thinking in loops, not just tasks.